Hello, everybody. This week, and actually for the next few weeks, we will be talking about, at least the next 2 to 3 weeks, talking about cleaning paws. Um, Starting today, we'll talk about what I think is kind of the absolute easiest option when you have a dog whose paws you can't handle, and you don't want to do a ton of training. And whether or not this will be enough for you depends kind of on your situation, how much mud and dirt your dog picks up when they're out, and how clean you really need their paws to be. But I'm going to show you the easiest stuff today that don't require strategies that don't require you to touch your dog or do much training, if any. And then over the next couple of weeks, we'll talk about some other approaches that do require a little bit of training, but also probably do a better job of getting your dog's paws clean. And the next 3 weeks are all going to be no touch. So ways to get your dog's paws clean without handling them. And the reason I want to spend time on this is because when your dogs are going in and out, if you've got dogs that are tracking a lot of mud into the house, you're going to want to try to wipe their paws. But if they're at all fearful or sensitive about that handling, every time you push that, every time you try to restrain them to wipe their paws, you could be hurting your overall training, and certainly their tolerance for being handled in that way. That's often when we get calls about dogs snapping at their owners, is when there's some kind of forced handling like that going on. So today we're going to start talking about ways to get the job done without putting your dog in that situation, or you. All right. Let's see what we got. Okay, so easy no-touch paw cleaning. Again, I'm calling this easy because today we're just talking about approaches that don't really require much, if any, training. If you have any questions while I'm going through the slides or the videos, just pop them below wherever you're watching the video, and it'll come up for me. All right, so I'll real briefly talk about setup options for where you're going to clean your dog's paws and what to consider. Then we'll talk about getting your dog to move their paws around on the cleaning surface, just using food lures like treats. Then we'll cover how you can use some behaviors your dog might already know that you've already trained that aren't necessarily specifically for cleaning paws, but that could be helpful for getting your dog's paws a little cleaner. All right, so setup for this kind of paw cleaning, this kind of no-touch paw cleaning. If you're trying to get your pup's paws cleaner as they come in from outside, I have found it easiest to put the mat or whatever it is you're going to use for your dog to wipe their paws on outside of the door. Because then they can't, it's harder for them to kind of just bust past you and track mud all over the house, because you can crack open the door if you're going to be using treats, but you can kind of stand in the way so they can't just run in, and next thing you know, you find them on your bed with muddy paw prints across your pillow. So I like the mat outside the door for that reason. If you've got a dog who is very fearful and is currently living in a safe space in your house, they have a pen or something, they don't really leave very often, if at all. What I have done in the past is just cover as much of that space as you can with something that will pick up dirt or mud off the dog's paws, or poop, which is actually what I needed to do with Pancake. Early on, he used to, it seemed like, dance in his own poop, and there's just poop everywhere. And I couldn't touch him at all. And so to try to clean his paws, I would cover a lot of the pen with either potty pads or some kind of mats or blankets, something I could either throw away or easily wash, that would start to clean his paws as he walked over them. In general, I find that a larger size mat is easier. The sort of typical small doormat size I found with my dogs is a little bit too small to be easy for these, for the purposes the sort of little exercises I'll show you in a minute. So kind of an extra large doormat was about the smallest that I like to use. You want to think about whether you want a soft and absorbent kind of surface, or something a little more abrasive. So actually the mat in the stock photo here on the slide looks like it's made of that kind of really scrubby boot cleaning material. It's like some kind of synthetic straw-like stuff. If your dog's going to have something caked on their paws, this might be better. However, do keep in mind that an abrasive mat, there's a good chance that a lot of dogs are going to be less happy about moving their paws around on it because it just won't be as comfortable. So it's kind of a trade-off. For most of the videos you'll see today, I liked using a soft mat that it does pull stuff off their paws, but it's not at all abrasive. And another variation that you can have that I also really like, depending on what's on your dog's paws, is adding some water, but not trying to bathe them or anything, just misting or wetting down the doormat or the towel so that it's picking up more, especially if there's dry dust or there's mud that's dried a little bit. If you have the surface a little damp, that can help get more of that mud off your dog's paws or whatever it is you're trying to get off. Mud's probably the least disgusting thing that my dogs trek in. Okay, so here are a few photos of example setups I tried. In the upper left is that's like one of those fake turf patches that you would get for indoor potty areas. I had it sitting around with no other purpose, so I gave it a try for paw wiping. On the upper right, that's our extra large kind of soft absorbent doormat. It's actually marketed for pets, and I actually really like it. If you are looking for one, shoot me a message and I'll try to find the link for this one, the one that Pancake's standing on, the red one. So that one's nice and big and it's soft, and it's not super deep pile, but kind of. It's not super short either. And then in the middle, the lower photo, that is a wet towel, which we also tried out. And you see these are all outside the back door. So the dogs go out, and our backyard is not landscaped at all. And this time of year, it's dry dirt, a lot of it. And also a lot of pine cones and pine needles. All right, if you've got a fearful dog who isn't really going outside yet, so they're mostly living in the safe space. I didn't have great photos that I could find for some reason of this, even though I know I have them somewhere. But these are two variations on Pancake's pen back when he didn't really go outside at all. The one on the left, it's partly covered with a visual barrier there so that he could hide, but you can see that pretty much all of the space within the pen is covered in potty pads, and I did have those taped down to the floor. That was helpful when he did his dance and his poop routine. I could pull those out every hour or two if I needed to, and replace with fresh until I stopped seeing dirty paw prints on them. And then the right one, the photo on the right, that's his a pen he had later. And I put kind of a green square showing how about how much of the pen I would probably cover in either the potty pads, which you can see I have down there. Those are washable fabric potty pads, or towels or whatever. If he had gross paws and I wanted to maximize his sort of the cleaning ability of the floor in there, I would probably cover as much of that surface as I could in either potty pads or towels until I stopped seeing gross paw prints. All right, so let's look at some video. How can we get our dogs to move their paws on the mat? And I did want to go for options that don't really require much training this week. So I think we're gonna have to look at the video. Let me see. Okay, so a treat scatter is probably the easiest way to go. This involves just, you get your dog, they come to the door, they're on the mat, you stick your hand out the door, scatter treats either on the mat or around the mat, depending on the size of the dog. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a sec. And then you can close the door and wait for them to walk around on the mat and collect them. I like this one especially because this is something that someone could do even if your dog is kind of scared of them, because you can just put the treats out and then move away from the door. So like a pet sitter, or I have an example here with my husband doing it, who Pancake is less comfortable with. So this is me. You can see there's a bunch of treats scattered over that red mat, and really do scatter them. Otherwise you end up with a dog that stands in one place, not moving their paws, and eats all the food. So you can see I'm standing in a place where if he tried to go inside, it could kind of be in the way. So he couldn't run in if his paws were gross. So you see we're getting a fair amount of front and back paw movement. And because he's small and the mat is big, his three, all three paws are staying on there the whole time. Now with a bigger dog, here's Juno. It worked better to toss treats to the side of the mat. And then I toss one on to get her back on. And then I'll toss another one to that side, because if I just covered the mat with them, she would very often have one or more paws off the mat just because she's so much bigger. Here's us using this scrubby mat, the more abrasive mat. There's just the fake turf. And this is my husband doing it. I know Pancake doesn't actually look that scared, but he is a little wary of him, especially he's going to throw some treats out. But this is, see, he kind of skitters back a little bit, but he knows he has, oh, Dad has treats. Barrett does a nice scatter. You could see if they were all in that middle area, he wouldn't have to move his feet at all. So it's important you scatter them widely. So we're getting a good amount of movement in the back and front paws. And so again, if you have a pet sitter or somebody doing this, this would be a more viable option than some of the later ones I'm going to show you, like this one. Another way to get your dog to move their paws over a cleaning surface would be to have a food lure, a treat in your hand, and lead them where you want them to go. A lot of you with very fearful dogs won't be able to do this. They won't follow a food lure in your hand, so they're not ready. But if your dog will follow food in your hand, then this will be, this is a nice option, gives you a little more control over where they move. So here's an example. I think this video does not show off Pancake's grace particularly. I think he falls over a bunch of times, but he's real excited about the food. So I'm kind of luring him back and forth, making sure that he's taking lots of steps on this cleaning mat. We also lured him up. This is a behavior actually somewhat trained now for him, but when he's dancing on his hind feet, that's a really good way to get his hind feet moving a lot. All right, and then digging for treats is another way to get your dog to actually kind of, wipe their paws on the mat. And although for my dogs, it doesn't work great. They're not enthusiastic diggers in this context, but I'll show you how you can do it here. So here I'm sprinkling some treats. And actually, if you have it like this, like I do, where you have a mat over a mat, that might give you more cleaning than just a mat over concrete. So there I told Jasper, I'm like, look, I put some treats under this thing. And so you see that digging motion is like wiping his paws, but you also see that one, he mostly digs with his right front paw. So I'm not getting a lot of back paw cleaning. And it tends to bunch up whatever it is they're digging at, which then means that you have to either reset it or you're not going to get a lot of cleaning of the other paws. So for me, this wasn't very efficient for my dogs, but it could work. It could work for you if you've got a dog who like really gets into digging. All right, so that was just getting them to start moving their paws on the mat without touching them, which can get a fair amount of dirt and mud off, even though you're not, wiping their paws. Now we can look at, okay, does your dog already know any behaviors on cue or even for food lure that would help get their paws sort of being dragged or wiped on the mat? So sitting up from a down is a nice one for front feet. If you can imagine your dog in a down and you ask them to sit or lure them back up into a sit, most dogs will drag their front paws backward as they sit up. And that gets some nice wiping paws action. So there's Pancake. I got one wipe, a little one going down as well. Obviously, he only has one front foot, so you're going to see some different motion. Here's me not really trying to train two dogs at once, but trying to get Pancake out of the way. So Juno, you could see there, when she sits up, she scrambles her paws backwards, which is get some cleaning action. All right, hand touch I don't have video for, but it's similar to the way the food lure in the hand works. You can ask your dog to touch your palm with their nose if they know that behavior already in different locations, and just get them to move around more on the mat that way. If your dog knows spin on cue or even for a food lure, then That can be a good one to get all 4 paws moving around. So this is Juno doing a spin. And Pancake actually doesn't know this at all. He's doing this on the wet towel. But you see he'll follow a food lure in a circle. And Dance, again, this is up on the hind legs like I showed you before. This can be a really good one for the hind paws, which are sometimes tougher otherwise to get clean. All right, so take-home points from today. One is that you don't have to force your dog, kind of restrain them or fight with them to get their paws clean as they come in, which I know a lot of us have done in the past. If you have your setup ready to go, you've got some treats, you can use those treats to encourage your dog to move their paws over some kind of cleaning surface, which could be wet or not, could be abrasive or soft. And if they do know any of these tricks, like even sit and down and hand touch, those can be used as well to get their paws a little cleaner. So this is nothing fancy we're talking about this week, but it is something that you can do to get your dog's paws cleaner without touching them, which I know for a lot of us is really nice if our dogs don't like this kind of invasive handling. And it's especially important for those of you who have fearful dogs, who you're trying to skill build, you're trying to build their confidence. You don't want them to be afraid of your hands. This will let you remove a potentially problematic practice from your day-to-day life if you're kind of grabbing them on the way inside and trying to wipe their paws. That can set back your training in other areas as well. So this is a way to kind of back off, give them their space, and get things done that you need to get done without any force. All right, I do not have my last slide, but I will tell you about it. So more free stuff from us. If you're not familiar with our blog, YouTube channel, Facebook presence, Instagram, those are all linked on our website. We've got dogkindtraining.com/blog, dogkindtraining.com/free-resources. Sorry, we've got wildfire smoke up here today. That'll get you to most of our free stuff. And then if you're looking for a little more guidance and skill building and confidence building for your fearful dog, check out our monthly training membership. You'll find a link to that in the menu on our website, dogkindtraining.com. If you have any questions, shoot us an email or just, write a comment under this video and I will get back to you. All right, everyone. I will see you next week with some more paw washing techniques that do require a little training, but also can get off a little more serious dirt and mud. All right. Have a great week.